Hello everyone, I'm Lee. Welcome to the Bible study of the Book of Micah. Going to share. All right. Hope everyone is doing good. All right, it's on there. And should be on here. Yep, there we go. All right. So I got, still going through the minor prophets. Happy Sabbath, not the Roman Sunday, for anyone that may be confused. Let's see. Move it up a little bit. Got the desk that moves, but I barely use it. I got it so I can stand up for my back, but I don't stand up. I normally just sit down. So, alright, so I got the Dead Sea Scrolls pulled up. Micah chapter 1, I've got the Brenton Septuagint, the Thompson Septuagint, Samaritan Pentateuch. Don't use that quite as much, but it's still valuable. Blue Letter Bible. Interlinear is better than this in some places. KJV and Text Critical New Testament, which I like when it's got notations on it where you can see what the other manuscripts have. Yeah, see. So if you go here and you can look right here, this little pointer, you can click in the New Testament so you can see what different critical translations have right there for different manuscripts. So that's good. So here is Micah from scroll K4Q82. Hope you can hear me. Yep. Alright, so this is Micah from the Greek scroll found in Nahal Heber. Now that's the thing to note, that the Greek scrolls were found in a different cave or different location. So they're not necessarily Dead Sea Scrolls, but they are from that time period in a different cave. So it could be after the word went out to the Gentiles that they copied them over and had them in that other cave there. So Micah, this is from Wadi Murabat. Not sure if I pronounced that correctly. Murabat. There we go. So, alright. So we'll go here. Micah chapter 1. Yahuwah's word that came to Micah, the Morishite, in the days of Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Yehudah, which he saw concerning Samaria and Jerusalem. That's the light from the window. So, hear you peoples, all of you, listen, O earth, and all that is therein, and let the Master Yahuwah be witness against you, that Yahuwah or the Master from his holy temple. See, it would make no sense if they translated this and we weren't supposed to read the scriptures and read his name. If they have Lord here, and then so that the tradition is translate his name as Lord or Adonai. So it would make no sense to say Lord, Lord, or Adonai, Adonai. Makes no sense at all. What would they do when they're reading the scriptures? They would read Adonai, Yahuwah. They'd read his name. Now that doesn't mean you pray in his name and talk about him all the time in his name, but reading the scriptures, yeah, So from his holy temple, what's that mean? Now, he's got a temple in heaven too. For behold, Yahuwah comes out of his place and will come down. See, temple in heaven. Some people say there's no temple. Like when he comes back and reigns, there's not going to be a temple. Well, where are they going to do sacrifices at? Ezekiel 40 through 48. They're doing sacrifices in Isaiah, what is it, 56, 58. Doing sacrifices, and he has a temple, and it will come down. Will come down and tread on the high places of the earth. The mountains melt under him, and the valleys split apart, like wax before the fire, like waters that are poured down on a steep place. And this is for the disobedience of Jacob, and for the sins of the house of Israel. What is the disobedience of Jacob? Isn't it Samaria? What are the high places of Yehuda? Aren't they Jerusalem? So, all this is for the disobedience. That's interesting because I found a passage the other day. It is, see if I can find it again. This is Giza Verne's Dead Sea Scrolls. Not the best translation, but one of the translations. I don't think any of them are the best, but they're all a translation of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Okay. See if that comes up. Well, let's see. I think it's in Thanksgiving hymns. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, commentary on Micah. There we go. In the Dead Sea Scrolls. So here it says, quotation from Giza Vermes, all this is for the transgression of Jacob and for the sins of the house of Israel. What is the transgression of Jacob? Is it not Samaria? And what is the high place of Yehuda? Is it not Jerusalem? I'll make Samaria a ruin in the fields, and Jerusalem a plantation of vines. Interpreted, this concerns the spouter of lies who led the simple astray. So there we go. So here, what is the high place of Yehuda? Is it not Jerusalem? Interpreted, so you got to interpret the scriptures. They don't always mean what we think they mean, even though it looks like it means that, it don't. This concerns the teacher of righteousness who expounded the law to his council, and to all who freely pledge themselves to join the elect of God, to keep the law in the council of the community, who shall be saved on the day of judgment. Huh. Interesting. Teacher of righteousness, I believe, is the Messiah. He expounded the law to his council. You can see him going out into the wilderness of Judea, where the elect was at, council of the community. So here, therefore, I will make Samaria like a rubble heap of the field, like places for planting vineyards, and I will pour down its stones into the valley, and I will uncover its foundations. All her idols will be beaten to pieces, and all her temple gifts will be burned with fire, and all her images I will destroy. For the hire of a prostitute has she gathered them, and to the hire of a prostitute shall they return. For this I will lament and wail. I will go stripped and naked. I will howl like the jackals and moan like the daughters of owls. 8. For her wounds are incurable, for it has come even to Yehuda. It reaches to the gate of my people, even to Jerusalem. So don't tell it in Gath, don't weep at all. At Beth Ophrah, I have rolled myself in the dust. Pass on, inhabitant of Shaphir. In nakedness and shame, the inhabitant of Zanan won't come out. The wailing of Beth Ezel will take from you his protection. For the inhabitant of Merath waits anxiously for good, because evil has come down from Yehuda to the gate of Jerusalem. Harness the chariot to the swift steed, inhabitant of Lachish. She was the beginning of sin to the daughter of Zion, for the transgressions of Israel were found in you. Therefore you will give a parting gift to Moresheth Gath. The houses of Akzib will be a deceitful thing to the kings of Yisrael. I will yet bring to you inhabitant of Mareshah. He who is the glory of Yisrael will come to Adullam. Shave your heads and cut off your hair for the children of your delight. Enlarge your baldness like the vulture, for they have gone into captivity from you. Saphir. Place in Judah, site unknown. From H8231, beautiful. So it references Joshua 15:48. Saphir, beautiful. Let's get back here. Having thy shame naked, the inhabitant of Zanan. Zanan is Sa'anan. A town in the low country of Yehuda. Beth Ezel. Beit Ha Ezel. Etzel. House of narrowing. Town of Judea or Samaria. Meroth. Meroth. Bitterness. One of the towns in the lowland of Judah or Yehuda. Bitter fountains, bitterness. Marah is bitter. 16. Go. So chapter 2, Micah. Woe to those who devise iniquity and work evil on their beds. This is lawlessness, iniquity. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. They covet fields and seize them, and houses and take them away, and they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. Therefore Yahuwah says, Behold, I am planning against these people a disaster, from which you will not remove your necks, neither will you walk haughtily, for it is an evil time. In that day they shall take up a parable against you, and lament with a doleful lamentation, saying, We are utterly ruined, my people's possession is divided up. Indeed, he takes it from me, and assigns our fields to traders. Therefore you will have no one who divides the land by lot in Yahuwah's assembly. Don't prophesy, they prophesied. Don't prophesy about these things. Disgrace won't overtake us. Shall it be said, O house of Jacob, is Yahuwah's spirit angry? Are these his doings? Don't my words do good to him who walks blamelessly? But lately my people have risen up as an enemy. You strip the robe and clothing from those who pass by without a care, returning from battle. You drive the women of my people out from their pleasant houses, from their young children. You take away my blessing forever. Arise and depart, for this is not your resting place, because of uncleanness that destroys, even with a grievous destruction. If a man walking in a spirit of falsehood lies, I will prophesy to you of wine and of strong drink. He would be the prophet of this people. I will surely assemble Jacob, all of you. I will surely gather the remnant of Israel. So yeah, it's not just about the false prophet, but it's about the people that listen to him too. If we didn't have a spirit of error, we wouldn't listen to him. So, something to keep in mind. We always like to point the finger, but you know, if we listened to somebody that was wrong, we were doing wrong at the same time. I will surely assemble Jacob, all of you. I will surely gather the remnant of Israel. I will put them together as the sheep of Basra. So the remnant of Israel. As a flock in the middle of their pasture, they will swarm with people. He who breaks up in the way goes up before them. They break through the gate and go out, and their king passes on before them with Yahuwah at their head. That's interesting. Their king, and then Yahuwah at their head. We know what that's referring to. Yep. So the Septuagint, following the rabbi tradition, translating it as Lord. Yep. So a lot of people speak against the rabbis, but then they'll say, "Oh, the Septuagint is so great, it's perfect. You know, it's what the disciples used." And rabbi tradition, right here, translated as Lord, not in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Dead Sea Scrolls, the Hebrew says God's name, not Lord. 13. Micah chapter 3, I said, Please listen, you heads of Jacob and rulers of the house of Israel. Isn't it for you to know justice? We're supposed to know his law. We're supposed to know the difference between right and wrong, good and evil. You who hate the good and love the evil, who tear off their skin and their flesh from off their bones, who also eat the flesh of my people and peel their skin from off them, and break their bones and chop them in pieces, as for the pot and as meat within the cauldron. Then they will cry to Yahuwah, but he will not answer them. Yes, he will hide his face from them at that time, because they made their deeds evil. That's breaking God's law. Yahuwah says concerning the prophets who lead my people astray, for those who feed their teeth, they proclaim peace, and whoever doesn't provide for their mouths, they prepare war against them. They proclaim peace. Peace. Agree to disagree. Therefore night is over you with no vision, and it is dark to you that you may not divine. And the sun will go down on the prophets, and the day will be black over them. The seers shall be disappointed, and the diviners confounded. Yes, they shall all cover their lips, for there is no answer from God. But as for me, I am full of power by Yahuwah's Spirit, and of judgment, of might, to declare to Jacob his disobedience and to Israel his sin. Please listen to this, you heads of the house of Jacob and rulers of the house of Israel, who abhor justice and pervert all equity. They build up Zion with blood and Jerusalem with iniquity, lawlessness. Her leaders judge for bribes, and her priests teach for a price, and her prophets of it tell fortunes for money. Yet they lean on Yahuwah and say, isn't Yahuwah among us? No disaster will come on us. Therefore Zion for your sake will be plowed like a field, and Jerusalem will become heaps of rubble, and the mountain of the temple like the high places of a forest. See a lot of this going on here. They pervert judgment. They teach for a price. They tell fortunes for money. It's tempting, but is it worth it? No. Micah chapter 4, but in the latter days it will happen that the mountain of Yahuwah's temple, there it is again. Does he have a temple when he returns? Yes, he does. That's what the word says. It's not based on my opinion. It's not based on your opinion. Our opinions don't matter. It is written. Will be established on the top of the mountains, and it will be exalted above the hills, and peoples will stream to it. Many nations will go and say, come, let us go to the mountain of Yahuwah, and to the house of the God of Jacob, Bethel, house of God, the mountain, Jerusalem. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. What's his ways and his paths? For the law will go out from Zion, and Yahuwah's word from Jerusalem. So his law. It's doing his law is walking in it. Teaching us his ways is teaching us his law. And he will judge between many peoples, and will decide concerning strong nations afar off. They will beat their swords into plowshares. Has this happened yet? No, it hasn't. There's still war. And their spears into pruning hooks. Nation will not lift up a sword against nation, neither will they learn war anymore. So this is a future prophecy. This is going to happen. But they will sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree, and no one will make them afraid, for the mouth of Yahuwah of armies has spoken. Indeed, all the nations may walk in the name of their gods, but we will walk in the name of Yahuwah our God forever and ever. So all the nations walk in the name of their gods. In that day, says Yahuwah, I will assemble that which is lame, and I will gather that which is driven away, and that which I have afflicted. So if you're afflicted, see, that which I have afflicted, he says that he has afflicted. And I'll make that which was lame a remnant, and that which was cast far off a strong nation, Israel. And Yahuwah will reign over them, so he cast them away, right? And Yahuwah will reign over them on Mount Zion from then on, even forever. That's Jerusalem. You tower of the flock, the hill of the daughter of Zion. That's Jerusalem also, referred to as a daughter. To you it will come. Yes, the former dominion will come, the kingdom of the daughter of Jerusalem. That's Bat, Jerusalem. Now why do you cry out aloud? Is there no king in you? Has your counselor perished? That pains have taken hold of you as a woman in travail. Try to mute myself so you don't have to hear me drink, because I drink kind of loud. Be in pain and labor to give birth, daughter of Zion, like a woman in travail. For now you will go out of the city, and will dwell in the field, and will come even to Babylon. There you will be rescued. There Yahuwah will redeem you from the hand of your enemies. So you will go out of the city, and will dwell in the field, and will come even to Babylon. We know who Babylon is. They're coming back home to Jerusalem. And we know through Revelation and the rest of Scripture, Jerusalem is referred to as Babylon. There you will be rescued. So when you come back to Jerusalem, there you will be rescued. There you will redeem you from the hand of your enemies. Why would we come out of the city and dwell in the field and then go to Babylon after that, and then he rescues us? We're already, if we're already in Babylon. If America's Babylon, we don't come out, go in the field, and come to Babylon, and then he rescues us. So we just went out of Babylon and come back to Babylon? Makes no sense. Babylon's Jerusalem. 10. So, I don't know. Now many nations have assembled against you that say, let her be defiled, and let her eye gloat over Zion. Many nations have assembled against you. They're come to make war against the Messiah and his elect. But they don't know the thoughts of Yahuwah, neither do they understand his counsel, for he has gathered them like the sheaves to the threshing floor. So he wants them to come. It's part of his plan. Arise and thresh, daughter of Zion, Israel, Jerusalem, for I will make your horn iron, and I will make your hoofs bronze, and you will beat in pieces in many peoples. You're going to kick tail. And I will devote their gain to Yahuwah, and their substance to Yahuwah of the whole, to the master of the whole earth, King of the earth, Yahuwah Almighty. 13. Hey, what are you grumbling for? So that's Micah 4. 13. Now shall the daughter of Zion be completely hedged in. He has laid siege against us. They shall smite the tribes of Israel with a rod upon the cheek. Maybe that is, let's see. Nope. Huh. That's either an addition. I'm not sure if it's in the. Hey. Smite the tribes of Israel with a rod upon the cheek. Not sure. Micah 5. And thou, Bethlehem, house of Ephrathah, art few in number to be reckoned among the thousands of Yehudah. But you, Bethlehem, Ephrathah, being small among the clans of Yehudah, will not one come out of you. The presence of the negative particle in Hebrew is difficult in light of the context, so I've chosen to translate it as a rhetorical question. Sometimes it's translators trying to figure out what it says. One come out of you to me that is to be ruler in Yisrael. So out of Bethlehem is to be the ruler supposed to come out. We know who that was, Messiah. Bethlehem. St. John. Hey, you have to go in there. I'm trying to strain. Stop making noise. Go. Get up. Right. Oh. My back, boy. So Matthew 2:5. Yep. All right. So let's go to Matthew. Matthew 2:5. After Yahushua was born in Bethlehem of Yehuda, in the days of Herod the king, behold, a wise man came from the east, arrived in Jerusalem, saying, where is the child who was born king of the Yehudim? For we saw his star in the east, and have come to worship him. When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. So he assembled all the chief priests and scribes of the people, and inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They told him, in Bethlehem of Yehuda, for so it is written by the prophet. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Yehuda, are by no means least among the rulers of Yehuda, for from you will come a ruler who will be shepherd my people Israel. Then Herod secretly called the wise men and ascertained from them what time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, go search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word, so that I too may go and worship him. They listened to the king and went on their way, and behold, the star that they had seen in the east went before them until it came and stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. As they came into the house and saw the child with his mother Mary, they fell down and worshipped him. And it should be more likely Miriam. Then they opened their treasures and offered him gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And being warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed for their own country by another way. After they were gone, behold, an angel of Yahuwah appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise, take the child and his mother, and flee to Egypt, and stay there until I tell you, for Herod is about to seek the child to destroy him. So Joseph arose, took the child and his mother by night, and departed for Egypt, where he stayed until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what Yahuwah had said through the prophet, out of Egypt I called my son. When Herod saw that he had been fooled by the wise men, he was greatly enraged and sent men to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and in its vicinity who were 2 years old and under, according to the time that he had ascertained from the wise men. Then what had been spoken by the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. A voice was heard in Ramah, wailing, weeping, and great lamentation, Rachel weeping for her children, and she refused to be comforted because they are no more. After Herod died, behold, an angel of Yahuwah appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, arise, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who are seeking the child's life are dead. So Joseph arose, took the child and his mother, and went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus, Archelaus was reigning over Yehuda, in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there, and being warned in a dream, he withdrew to the district of Galilee, and came and dwelt in a town called Nazareth, so that what had been spoken by the prophets might be fulfilled. He will be called a Nazarene. That's where you get Nazarenes. Okay, that's better. Had to fix the back support. Sorry about the interruption. So let's go to this is the way I do a Bible study when I study. If I see something as I'm going, and I'll go to something else. Probably a lot of you do the same thing. Where is New Testament? manuscripts. There we go. So this is a useful website that I use. It's not complete, but so these are early New Testament manuscripts. You can go to the manuscript list and you can look. See there? Dated 200 to 300 AD. Oxyrhynchus, Egypt. Oxyrhynchus, 1896. Where it's at, Pennsylvania. What it contains. So that's very useful. I like that. But I'll go up here to go to book and chapter review, which you can go through all the manuscripts. See which ones, where's it from. Yeah, very useful. Wish they had all of them, but they don't. That's why I'm learning Greek and Hebrew. Then I can get it all collated, and I can just translate it myself or read it myself. So here he notes a difference in the manuscript here. There are a large number of sound-alike spelling variations in the names of this chapter, right? So it'll tell you. So this would be Zerar, Minadab, Boaz. So David, and this is missing from the manuscript. So our translation says the king, which was obviously added later. Somebody wanted to say, okay, we're going to explain to him David the king. Like, that wasn't normally there. Anybody reading this would have known David was the king. So they didn't have to put the king. So somebody translating it later on put the king in there. They're trying to help people, but yeah. So Father Solomon, by that which had been Uriah's. So you would know that it's Uriah's wife, but somebody added that. So if you don't know, see, it's in the text. By that which, and then they added her who to try to explain it. That's what happens as you get more and more translations. You get stuff, translator trying to explain stuff. So all generations from Abraham. I like it without the added stuff. If you're studying scripture, you should already know that. So here, therefore he will abandon them until the time that she who is in labor gives birth. That's when Israel returns, right? Jerusalem gives birth. Israel comes back. That's her children, Israel. So he's going to abandon them until that time, right? So if we look at, scoot a little bit here. If we go here, that's what Paul's talking about, until that time. So Romans, hey, dog keeps making noise. So Romans 11, I say then, hath Elohim cast away his people? Let's go to the text critical. Romans 11. I don't think it's in here. It may be. Romans. Nope. Manuscripts containing this chapter have not been translated. So the person doing the site just stopped translating stuff for some reason and disappeared. So Romans 11. I asked then, has God rejected his people? Certainly not, for I too am an Israelite, a descendant of Abraham of the tribe of Benjamin. God has not rejected his people whom he foreknew. Do you not know that what the scripture says in the passage about Elijah, how he pleads with God against Israel, saying, so the critical text has Israel, not saying. So he pleads with God against Israel. Lord, they have killed your prophets and demolished your altars, and I alone am left, and they are seeking my life. That's what Elijah said. But what does the divine response say to him? I have reserved for myself 7,000 men who have not bowed down to Baal. So then, in the present time also, there is a remnant chosen by grace. Now, if it is by grace, it is no longer by works. Otherwise, grace would no longer be grace. That does not mean you don't do anything. But if it is by works, it is no longer grace. Otherwise, work would no longer be work. So you don't do work to earn it, but once you get it by grace, you do work. See? What then? Israel did not obtain what it was seeking. The chosen obtained it, but the rest were hardened, as is written. God gave them a spirit of stupor, eyes not to see, and ears not to hear, down to this very day. So, it's God that opens eyes and ears. If they don't hear it, or if we don't hear it or see it, is Him. It's not, there's nothing we can do about it, except maybe repent. And David says, let their table become a snare and a trap, a stumbling block and a retribution to them. Let their eyes be darkened so they cannot see, and keep their backs forever bent. I asked then, did the Israelites stumble so as to fall? Certainly not. Rather, by their trespass, salvation has come to the Gentiles, to provoke Israel to jealousy. Yisrael. Now, if their trespass means riches for the world, and their loss means riches for the Gentiles, how much more will it mean when their full number is included? Now I am speaking to you who are Gentiles, inasmuch as I am apostle to the Gentiles. I glorify my ministry, if somehow I provoke my own people to jealousy and save some of them. So he calls Israel his own people. For if their rejection means reconciliation for the world, what will their acceptance mean but life from the dead? If the dough offered as first fruits is holy, so is the whole lump, and if the root is holy, so are the branches. Now if some of the branches have been broken off, and you, a wild olive branch, have been grafted in among them, and have become a fellow partaker in the root and richness of the olive tree. So the Gentiles were supposed to be grafted in to Israel, right? Become part of Israel. Do not boast against the branches, Israel, but if you do boast against them, remember that you do not sustain the root, but the root sustains you. That's Messiah. You will say then, branches were broken off so that I could be grafted in. Right, they were broken off because of unbelief, but you stand because of faith. So do not be arrogant, but be afraid. For if God did not spare the natural branches, perhaps he will not spare you either. Consider therefore the kindness and severity of God to those who have fallen severity, but to you kindness, if you continue in his kindness, otherwise you too will be cut off. What's his kindness? His law. And if they do not continue in unbelief, they will be grafted in, for God is able to graft them in again. For if you were cut off from what is by nature a wild olive tree, and were grafted contrary to nature into a cultivated olive tree, how much more will the natural branches be grafted back into their own olive tree? That is not the current state, UN created state of Israel. That's not Israel. That's the scriptural Israel. Messiah. I do not want you to become unaware, brothers, of this mystery, lest you be wise in your own estimation. A partial hardening has come upon Israel until the full number of Gentiles has come in. So partial hardening or blindness. And in this way all Israel will be saved, as is written. The deliverer will come from Zion and will remove ungodliness from Jacob, and this will be my covenant with them when I take away their sins. With respect to the gospel, the Israelites are enemies for your sake, but with respect to being chosen, they are beloved for the sake of the fathers. And what's the gospel? We'll find that out here in a second. It's not what the church says. For the gifts and calling of God are irrevocable, just as you were once disobedient to God. Once disobedient, so see, we're not supposed to be disobedient anymore. Now you receive mercy because of their disobedience. So they too have now become disobedient, in order that by the mercy shown to you, they also may receive mercy. For God has confined all in disobedience, so that he might have mercy on all. Oh, the depth, the riches, wisdom, and knowledge of God! How unsearchable are his judgments, and untraceable his ways. For who has known the mind of Yahuwah, or who has become his counselor, or who has first given to God, that he should be repaid? For from him, and through him, and to him are all things. To him be the glory forever. Amen. Through him are all things. Messiah was created. All things were created through him. So the gospel. 1 Timothy. Is it 1? Or 2? 4. 6. Nope. Second Timothy. Let me look it up. First Timothy 1. Okay. Let's see. I thought it was in here. Alright, here. 1 Timothy 1:8. Now we know that the law is good if one uses it lawfully. So it's not done away with. We know that the law is not laid down for the righteous, but for the lawless and rebellious, for the ungodly and sinners, for the unholy and profane, for those who kill their father or mother, for murderers, fornicators, homosexuals, slave traders, liars, perjurers, and whatever else is opposed to sound teaching. Now this is, I'm not sure if it's slave traders. Let me go back here. Murderers of mothers, fathers, for manslayers. For them that defile themselves with mankind, for men stealers, for liars, for perjured persons. Yeah, I'm not sure if they got that correct there. Liars, perjurers, right? Men stealers. Huh, maybe slave stealers? Maybe that's what they're going for. But this says slave traders. Say liars, perjurers, and whatever else is opposed to sound teaching that conforms to the gospel of the glory of the blessed God, which has been entrusted to me, according to the gospel, right? So he tells you what the gospel is right here. It's the law. The law was laid down for lawless and rebellion, for all these that is opposed to sound teaching that conforms to the gospel, the law. Then the rest of his brothers will return to the children of Israel. So 4. He shall stand and shall shepherd in the strength of Yahuwah, in the majesty of the name of Yahuwah his God, and they will live, for then he will be great to the ends of the earth. He will be our peace when Assyria invades our land, and when he marches through our fortresses, then we will raise against him 7 shepherds and 8 leaders of men. They will rule the land of Assyria with the sword, and the land of Nimrod in its gates. That's interesting. Nimrod. So 5 or 6. Yep. He will deliver us from the Assyrian when he invades our land and when he marches within our border. So right, he's going to bring all the nations to fight. The remnant of Yaakov will be among many peoples, like dew from Yahuwah, like showers on the grass that don't wait for man, nor wait for the sons of men. The remnant of Yaakov, like a lion among the animals of the forest, a young lion among the flocks of sheep, who, if he goes through, treads down and tears in pieces, and there is no one to deliver. Let your hand be lifted up above your adversaries, and let all your enemies be cut off. It will happen in that day, says Yahuwah, that I will cut off your horses out from among you, and will destroy your chariots. I will cut off the cities of your land, and will tear down all your strongholds. I will destroy witchcraft from your hand, and you shall have no soothsayers. I will cut off your engraved images and your pillars out from among you, and you shall no more worship the work of your hands. I will uproot your Asherah poles from out from among you, and I will destroy your cities. Asherah poles, that's like, I'm not sure if this is what it is, but I think it is. So, yeah, so you see that right there. And I wonder if they got it in Israel. Wouldn't surprise me if they had one over there. Yep. Would not surprise me at all. They've got him everywhere. I'll execute vengeance and anger and wrath on the nations that didn't listen. So the Hebrew word normally translated as clans in this passage can also be translated as thousands. This Greek scroll used thousands. So clans translated them thousands. Small among the clans, thousands of Yehuda. So a translation. 5, 6. Micah 6, listen now to what Yahuwah says. Arise, plead your case before the mountains, and let the hills hear what you have to say. Not sure if you're talking to the mountains, but the Dead Sea Scrolls tell us the mountains in Scripture also means prophets. Not sure, maybe. Hear you mountains, Yahuwah's controversy, or hear you prophets, Yahuwah's controversy. That makes more sense. And you enduring foundations of the earth. Now, don't make any sense if it's talking about the foundations of the earth, so it could be mountains. For Yahuwah has a controversy with his people, and he will contend with Yisrael. My people, what have I done to you? How have I burdened you? Answer me. For I brought you up out of the land of Egypt, and redeemed you out of the house of bondage. I sent before you Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. My people, remember now what Balak king of Moab devised, and what Balaam the son of Beor answered him from Shittim to Gilgal, that you may know the righteous acts of Yahuwah. Book of Numbers. How shall I come before Yahuwah and bow myself before the exalted Elohim? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will Yahuwah be pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000s of rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my disobedience, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? Now people will use this and they'll go, look, see, you don't want any sacrifices anymore, so they're not going to have them in the kingdom. That's not what it's saying. 7. 7 to 11. Let's go over here. I don't like using the translation, but you have to sometimes. Has it not been told thee, O man, what is good? Or what does Yahuwah require of thee, but to do justice and love mercy, and be ready to walk with Yahuwah thy Elohim? That's keep his commandments. That's doing justice, love, and mercy, and walking with him is keeping his law. Yahuwah's voice shall be proclaimed in the city, and he shall save those that fear his name. Hear, O tribe, and who shall order the city? Is there not fire in the house of the wicked, heaping up wicked treasures, and that with the pride of unrighteousness? Shall I be pure with dishonest scales, and with a bag of deceitful weights? Her rich men are full of violence, her inhabitants speak lies, and their tongue is deceitful in their speech. Whose inhabitants? Her inhabitants? Jerusalem. Therefore I also have struck you with a grievous wound. I have made you desolate because of your sins. He makes Babylon desolate. You shall eat, but not be satisfied. Your humiliation will be within you. You will store up, but not save. And that which you save I will give up to the sword. You will sow, but won't reap. You will tread the olives, but won't anoint yourself with oil, and crush grapes, but you won't drink the wine. For the statutes of Omri are kept, and the works of Ahab's house. You walk in their counsels, that I may make you a ruin, and her inhabitants a hissing, and you will bear the reproach of my people. 16. I'm just going to go ahead and finish it. Micah 7. Misery is mine, indeed, I am like one who gathers the summer fruits as gleanings of the vineyard. There is no cluster of the grapes to eat. My soul desires to eat the early fig. The godly man has perished out of the earth, and there is no one upright among men. They all lie in wait for blood, and every man hunts his brother with a net. Their hands are on that which is evil to do it diligently. The ruler and judge ask for a bribe. The powerful man dictates the evil desire of his soul. Thus they conspire together. The best of them is like a briar, the most upright is worse than a thorn hedge. The day of your watchman, even your visitation, has come. Now is the time of their confusion. I would say also Isaiah chapter 24, verse 5 and 6. So the best of them is like a briar. That's why they get burned up. He burns up the briars and thorns. Don't trust in a neighbor and don't put confidence in a friend. With the woman lying in your embrace, be careful of the words of your mouth. For the son dishonors the father, the daughter rises up against her mother, the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies are the men of his own house. The men of his own house. But as for me, I will look to Yahuwah. I will wait for the Elohim of my salvation. My Elohim will hear me. Don't rejoice against me, my enemy. When I fall, I will arise. When I sit in darkness, Yahuwah will be a light to me. I will bear the indignation of Yahuwah because I have sinned against him, until he pleads my case and executes judgment for me. He will bring me out to the light. I will see his righteousness. Then my enemy will see it, and shame will cover her who said to me, where is Yahuwah your Elohim? Then my enemy will see me and will cover her shame. Now she will be trodden down like the mire in the streets. A day to build your walls. In that day he will extend your boundary. In that day they will come to you from Assyria and the cities of Egypt, and from Egypt even to the river, and from the sea to sea, and mountain to mountain. Yet the land will be desolate because of those who dwell therein, for the fruit of their doings. It does not say because of Israel, because Israel is not there. Because those who dwell therein. Shepherd your people with your staff in the flock of your heritage, who dwell by themselves in a forest, in the middle of fertile pasture land. Let them feed in Bashan and Gilead, as in the days of old. That's when Israel returns. As in the days of your coming out of the land of Egypt, I will show them marvelous things. Praise Yah. The nations will see and be ashamed of all their might. They will lay their hand on their mouth. Their ears will be deaf. They will lick the dust like a serpent, like crawling things of the earth. They shall come trembling out of their dens. They will come with fear to Yahuwah our Elohim, and will be afraid because of you. Who is a God like you, who pardons iniquity, lawlessness, and passes over the disobedience of the remnant of his heritage? He doesn't retain his anger forever, because he delights in loving kindness. If he didn't pass over some of our stuff, none of us would make it. He saves us for his name's sake. He will again have compassion on us. He will tread, and for the fathers, because he made a promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's going to fulfill that promise. He will again have compassion on us. He will tread our iniquities underfoot, and you will cast all their sins into the depths of the sea. He will give truth to Jacob. Truth is his law. Psalm 119, 142. His law is truth. And mercy to Abraham, as you swore to our fathers from the days of old. 21. Yep. Last one. Read that again. You will give truth to Jacob and mercy to Abraham, as you sworn to our fathers from the days of old. So, as he has sworn, that's the reason. That's it right there. Go here. Micah. Yeah, that's gonna be it. Cool. Let me go. Well, I'll probably just leave it like that. So, cool. I did a little earlier today. So, hopefully that was a blessing and helpful to somebody. And, yep. Can't think of anything else. Went through that pretty quick. Hopefully that was good. I enjoyed it. Let's see, it's Micah. So we got through these, and we've got Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah. Wow, that's a lot. We got 12 to go through. We went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're halfway done with the minor prophets. So 6 more to go. All right. Well, for those of you keeping the biblical Sabbath, hope you have a good Sabbath.